Well, hello, everybody. I'm Del Shores.
And I'm Emerson Collins, and this is the Del and Emerson Show.
Straight talk.
Real gay. Hi, Del Shores.
You got the hands going today.
You know, just a little jazz hands, a little excitement. We got a lot of show. Meghan and Harry, Raya and the Last Dragon, COVID relief, a cancel culture councilman, ungendering toys, BYU, Sydney gay Mardi Gras, a gay Russian priest spilling secrets, Dolly mural, trans billboards, and Dale's going to perform a misogynist sermon.
Oh, I'm so excited. I've been rehearsing all day.
It's I felt like it was a role you could rise to the occasion, and we hadn't had you a good sermon in a while.
I know, and this sermon is not Southern, though. He's from Missouri, and he didn't have a Southern accent, but he should have.
Has that ever stopped you from just making somebody Southern?
Just making shit up.
Missouri, there's lots of people in Missouri that think they count as the South.
Well, I actually go and listen to these assholes so that I can try to get. He's got sort of a high pitch going.
You get right in there. How's everybody? Is everybody doing all right? How was your weekend?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Okay.
For the benefit of everybody else. I mean, I know, but I'm going to pretend like it's my first time.
My weekend was just fine. it was nothing to
that was
home about.
Ooh, glad I asked. Glad I got to that.
You went hunting again, though.
I did. We went up to the Vasquez Rocks. They're up north of Los Angeles. And it's very exciting for me personally because they filmed a bunch of the original Star Trek series there. So I ran around and pretended like I was Captain Kirk and Spock. I did not do that, but it was nice to know that that's what they did there. They're rocks out of the ground, just climbing rocks.
Well, I'm so glad you're just getting out some, Emerson. I miss that deep, dark tan that you used to have.
I know, it comes and goes based on I got a tiny bit of little color on my forehead. I was like, I have not been outside. I'm missing the vitamin D. I'm a little bitey today, I'll be honest.
Oh, are you? Well, let me tell you what I saw on my hike. I do hike, at least 3, 4, 5 times a week.
For that content, I know.
I know. You know what? I saw some deer. Up on the mountains, right off of Outpost. They just
all right, Bambi.
Grazing up there, cars whizzing by. But I got a nice little picture of them, and then my friend Beverly, who lives right off of Mulholland, she saw 5 deer and 1 pregnant one in her yard. She knows way too much about deer. She said it's their time. 2 months they'll be delivering those babies.
I just am enjoying picturing her out there just waiting on the delivery chamber.
She's not happy about those deer. They eat her roses.
Well, this is what happens when we all stay inside. Nature's taking it back.
Yeah, they're saying, and there's a bobcat, not a bobcat, a mountain lion in my neighborhood. Well, so it's crazy. It's just crazy wildlife going on in the hills.
You and those chihuahuas better watch out because they're awfully brave and they'll end up a snack.
I know. I got me some pepper spray now just in case, but I don't know if that'd work for a mountain lion. That mountain lion's big.
I know, and if you could grab them, you'd only be able to pick up 2.
I can't say that. That's awful. I'd say it'd be like that Sophie's Choice moment.
You're like, look, every parent says they don't have a favorite kid until you can only save one.
Well, I will tell you right now, I do have a favorite dog.
So. We all know. Bitsy knows that, look, it is her place. The other ladies joined.
They do, but I do love them. But anyway.
Well, and the other thing I watched this weekend, the new Disney movie, Raya and the Last Dragon. And I'll tell y'all what, we paid that advance notice to watch it like a fancy movie at home. It was just wonderful.
Was it?
It sure was. It's lovely. But what I really loved about this movie, one, Callie Marie Tran, who plays the main character, Gemma Chan, who I love, plays the other. There is no teenage 20-year-old male protagonist in this movie. It is a story about 2 women and the world. The conflict is between them. The moral of the story is complicated. The hero is not perfect. At the end, she doesn't, no spoilers. But it was lovely and smart, and it felt like an evolution of telling stories and representation in a way that's just real. It's not like, look at the woman hero. It's just like, here's a badass woman telling a story. And it was only in discussing afterwards that it was focused on them. The visuals are beautiful. There's dragons. Aquafina is hysterical as the dragon. I just loved it. So if y'all are looking for a movie to watch, check it out. And Kelly Marie Tran did an interview, and she talked about you could definitely read this as a queer story. Like, you could definitely read this as a lesbian conflict. And because she specifically said she thought of the character as gay, and she knew queer audiences would pick up on it. And she said, I think it might get me in trouble for saying that, but whatever. It's not overt. It's not actually that. But I think as you watch it, you'll see, oh yeah, there might be little moments.
That's so interesting. You brought in that sort of that subtext, because I was reading this article. It's not in our show, but it was that Bewitched had all of these hidden content about for coming out of the closet as a witch, and all these references that they're now.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, queer coding been around for decades.
Exactly. So,
and we also got we're getting some new coronavirus guidelines for the people who've been vaccinated, tiptoeing towards regularity. That's got to be exciting for people that are getting vaccines.
Yeah. Well, I love that you could, you know, once you all get your shots, when you get your shots, if you got it, it's like we're pets now. Did you get your shots, Emerson? But we can, you know, we can gather without masks if we all are, you know, if we all get our shots.
Yep. So. So you can gather with a single household. They recommend not with multiple unvaccinated households. They're still like saying, be careful, don't travel unless you have to. But we are edging forward. So everybody be patient. But we're getting there. I don't know when I can get mine. But.
Yeah, well, you're so young, beautiful. They just the young and the beautiful. They're last.
It looks like lots of people. Jared getting first. Rob gets second. Kelly's getting second. I love seeing everybody getting vaccinated. And you know, it's like we are getting there. Everyone just be patient and hang on a little longer. We're so close. Let's do what we have to. You know, but remember, wear your masks when you're out, you know, around people you don't know the vaccination of other people. So we want to continue to protect each other.
Right. I am seeing a lot of people that are just being assholes here in California, just walking down. What really, it just irritates me. It irritates me if they don't have a mask, but what irritates me more is that they have a mask that's under their nose. I just want to go and just pop it and just like pop it and like go, that's how it goes. Fuck it.
Yeah.
I held my tongue. I hold my tongue every day.
Look, if they hadn't learned in a year, they're not gonna.
You know what I do, Emerson? Very passive. I see someone without a mask or their mask on walk. I make the widest circle, like you are just typhoid Mary. I am not even getting close to you, and it really works. A lot of them will go, oh.
And do you huff and puff and make dramatic sounds to go with it?
I do like. It's like. Oh, I had a manager like that who would just, she hated something in a movie or a play. She'd go, please.
Oh, well, the other big thing that happened, okay, and we want to hear everybody's thoughts, is the big Meghan and Harry interview with Oprah.
Okay, I'm going to be really honest. I got an edible inside me. Someone forced me to eat an edible, and nobody was here. It was just me.
I was about to say, this is like someone stuffing this down your throat.
I don't want it. But it was, I thought it was 5 milligrams and it was 10 milligrams. So I was going to watch, I thought, okay, I love a good award show. I'm going to watch the Critics' Choice Awards, and then I'm going to watch that interview. Well, I woke up as that interview was starting. And that award show was 3 hours long. But I couldn't stop watching. I mean, I was like riveted the whole time. And for me, I believe. I want to. I believe them. I don't. You know, I got mad at Meghan Kelly for like shaming them for being wealthy, and I'm like, well, who are you, woman? You know, like you don't have problems. You don't have mental problems, and I just don't think anybody would lie about suicide and racism like that. It's just.
Did Meghan Kelly say she was lying about suicide?
Oh, not so. Oh, she went after Oprah's interview style. She went after the interview and saying that it's hard to feel sorry for people who are wealthy.
Did she go after the suicide?
She didn't specifically say that,
Oh.
but she implied that she didn't believe a lot of the interview. And I said, you know, we believed you when you went after Roger Ailes. We believed you, so you just continue to be a racist. I mean, she is just awful, despicable.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the actual interview for a minute. Because I found it so smart as well. Like, well, I absolutely believed the reality of her experience, the racism, the obvious comparisons they were able to show between how Kate was treated versus how Meghan was treated, all the way down to about the avocado. That experience of being a woman who is half Black, stepping into an institution. And when you step back wider, the people who were shocked that there's racism in the culture, the commentary in the institution, the concept of colonialism in an empire that went around the world and sat down on other groups of people, on other cultures, and dominated cultures with their culture. Like, that's literally the point of the entire colonial concept of empire building, is one culture is better than another. Like, it's built into the institution. So to be shocked, but when she said that somebody made a comment about the color of their baby, you know, racism, and then there's, you know, that's like the racism of, like, you know, the 3 teeth people we think of in the South, you know, where we're from, like the worst kind of overt racism, all the way down to that experience. And then obviously I've shared a lot of my mental health journey with everyone on the show for the last year, and hearing her describe sitting in the middle of a hurricane, not leaving the house for 3 or 4 months, but twice, and getting to the point where she said, I need help. I need to go somewhere. And then needing to go somewhere with Harry to not be left alone, pregnant, with suicidal ideation.
Yes, I have to know. That was the most heartbreaking part for me, where she said, I have to go to that event. And you did. They showed that picture where you saw how troubled she was, and there were so many parallels with Diana, because of course we all lived in back in the, I don't know if you did, but I was like living and breathing all of that, and it just was so sad to me. And I thought that he was so amazing of a support system, and her for him as well. And somebody, you know, one of my friends was going, I don't feel sorry for millionaires, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? Here's where I do empathize. I think about the fact that how his mother was treated by this same family, and how he has had to love his dad publicly, who was having an affair on his mother before the wedding. I mean, and all through the marriage. And I just said, scratch deeper into the psychology of these people and have some fucking empathy. That's where I was.
Well, I mean, multiple things can be true, right? There is a privilege that, like, they were not worrying about money. Her mental health things were unrelated to that. There are also people economically unstable who struggle with mental health issues. Like, there are certainly different levels to dealing with different kinds of issues. And if you're dealing with mental health and worried about where you're living and when your next meal is going to be, that's a very different kind of struggle as well. But it doesn't negate that the circumstances impacted her in this way. And I go back to thinking of, he was a 12-year-old boy walking behind his mother's coffin. And I loved him for saying for her, if this is what we need to do for you and for us, for our family, bye, we're out. This is who was a young man, went into combat, had to fight to go into combat in the military in the UK, in spite of his position, walking away. I thought, they clearly had thought very hard about how they wanted to say things, what they wanted to say. I thought it was interesting where they stopped. that he said, "I will never tell you who asked about the color of the baby," was an interesting choice. They worked very hard to put the blame on the institution and give compliments to the Queen, which at a certain point is interesting because like the institution is her, but that seemed like they were trying to also manage their relationships while sharing their story, which is kinder than they had to be.
Did you hear the statement today from the Queen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but Charles has not made a statement. He's
well, I mean, Oprah said that the color of the baby comment was not the Queen or Philip. That only leaves sort of Charles and William, and like it's narrowing the field.
Yeah, it felt. I mean, we can speculate whatever, but I feel like that Charles is just a dick. He's a dick.
Also, it was a masterful publicity for the only shot that we saw at their home to be out in the chickens, just being normal people feeding the chickens. No shots of the house, no identifying marks. They think the safety thing is really real. All right, well, we rambled. Here, let's get some of y'all's thoughts.
It made me want some chicken.
Ken said, "I've been Team Meghan from the beginning." Tony said she got out in time. Brett said, "I believe her and mad at the firm." I found it very interesting, though, that they didn't identify like the names of the behind the scenes people, because the Queen's not running the publicity, but all of us that have watched The Crown know what those positions are. That they left it as like the firm and the institution, not the people doing the work, was an interesting choice. Blair said it was enlightening. I believe them and it's sad. John, I'm sad about all that stuff. I feel sad for Meghan and Harry, but I think Oprah is the real royalty. I mean, it was a wonderful reminder, again, of how Oprah is an incredible interviewer, poking just enough, prodding, and then knowing when to back off to continue, and then when to not say anything and let the person move to the next thought.
In my estimation, she is only rivaled by the great Barbara Walters. Those two are my favorite interviewers, especially of celebrities, and that's why it irritated me about fucking Meghan Kelly. It's just like, shut up.
Doug said, "Not really surprising to me that the royal family holds racist views. Kind of the nature of the beast." Right. I mean,
don't we remember when Princess Margaret got in all that trouble for wearing that blackface pin or something? I mean, and didn't think there was anything wrong with that. So,
Harry said his inheritances from his mother, Diana, initially got them through. He felt she knew he'd need it eventually. That was very interesting that she, as a Spencer or wherever her money was from, that it was Diana's money. And then Tyler Perry's gracious. I need to know more about them living at Tyler Perry's house and that conversation and how we got there.
With security, yeah. So
that was just fascinating. So I thought they were thoughtful. I thought they said a lot. I appreciated Meghan going out of her way to not disparage Kate, even in the clarification of who made who'd cry. That they worked really hard to not say more than necessary about family members. And really just glad for them that they found a place. The little video Harry showed of them at the beach that was clearly his cell phone video. Say good for them and wish them the best. And that he and Oprah are working on a mental health series together is very exciting. I would be very excited to see what comes of that.
Yeah. All right.
Well, what we do here is the LGBTQ news and nonsense, and that wasn't specifically, but look, y'all, it was big and important and fascinating. I mean, royalty is fascinating. It's so weird. It's just bonkers at a certain point too. You could also just be done with the monarchy. But good news getting there over the weekend as well. The Senate passed the $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill. Although all that effort for bipartisan support, and it was purely a 50-49 party line vote, the $1,400 checks under $80,000 income, federal pandemic unemployment funding, aid to states, cities, and tribal governments, school funding, vaccine distribution, and more. But the amendments that happened, I hope y'all watched over the weekend, were a big part of demonstrating how our government is or isn't going to work. Bernie Sanders tried to put the $15 minimum wage on the Senate side to match the side that the House passed. It failed 58-42 with 7 Democrats and an independent voting against it. This is very demonstrative of how we are going to function, and the difficult road we have to passing the Equality Act and various things that are going to need 60 votes. We can't even get on board with the relief bill. And this very horrifying specific thing for our community and what we focus on here, that Alabama former football coach, Tommy Tuberville, tried to add an amendment to ban federal funding, to strip federal funding from school programs that include trans girl participants in female sports. Not related, COVID relief bill tried to be transphobic in the amendment process. Now, it went down 49-50. It was co-sponsored by Lindsey Graham. But that is very representative that this issue, bigot conservatives have decided this is the wedge issue they are going to dive for during this administration, headed towards the next election at any and every opportunity. So much so that on Monday, all 7 out trans state legislators issued a joint statement, the first of its kind, condemning the vote on the amendment. People that we've talked about here on the show, of course, Danica Room, Sarah McBride in Delaware, Brianna Titone in Colorado, Stephanie Byers that we all supported in Kansas, Lisa Bunker and Jerry Cannon in New Hampshire, and Taylor Small in Vermont. And of course, they said that was one of the big reasons we need to push for the Equality Act. But all of those people, think about all the legislations we've talked about in Colorado and various places that are a result of the representation that they all represent. Here they are, these 7. But in the middle of a relief bill from a pandemic, trying to be transphobic. So it continues onward.
Well, someone from Alabama the other day said, well, he was a good coach. Who the fuck cares?
But y'all, we got to be really real about this. You know, the filibuster and how it's going to be used, all of the things that we want Biden, that we want this Democrat thin majority to do, minimum wage, Medicare, healthcare reform, the Equality Act. We're going to be looking at this 50-49 vote all year. And we have to continuously push our representatives and the ones who voted against the minimum wage, which isn't $15 an hour, isn't even enough to live on it. That's what it should have been when they first started fighting for it. Now it's 23 or 24 that it would require to live above the poverty line. It's so little, and we couldn't even get there. We have to be honest about what it's going to take to get our representatives to do the work we want them to do.
Yeah. And so yesterday, also in other government news, on International Women's Day, President Biden announced 2 new orders to promote gender equality with a new White House Gender Policy Council. The first order is focusing on advancing gender equity and equal opportunities for women and girls. The second is focused on reviewing the Department of Education policies to guarantee education free from sexual violence. The order will require the council co-chairs to submit a strategy to address gender policies, programs, and budgets across the government. And Biden also recently hired a senior advisor, Reggie Greer, for LGBT plus issues to help aid the administration in its commitment to inclusion, alongside with associate editor of public engagement, who will also advise on LGBTQ plus issues. And I just love that he's getting in there, not just, he's not just waiting for Congress and not all this, as the transphobic bullshit is happening, he's there with those executive orders and said, no, this is who I am. And feel like he's keeping his promises to us.
Absolutely. And in nonsense news, I would like you all to meet a city council member. This is David Alvord, Salt Lake County Councilman. And he wrote on Facebook, just upset at the left and the world we want to build. He said, the left won't be happy until we each have light brown skin, exactly alike, or else there will remain someone whiter than another. They won't be happy until we are all bisexual or in non-committed relationships. They won't be happy until we are as miserable as they are. The Post also said the left wants everyone living in the same-sized residential pod, can't wait until we have no children, hopes the population decline comes close to endangered animals like spotted owl and exotic salamander, and that no one smiles or laughs more than another. Well, he deleted it when asked about it and said, I think I could have been more diplomatic.
Huh.
What I want to challenge is to really consider the end game of the far left. He went on to talk about trans kids in sports. He clarified in a later post, the left I refer to as cancel culture, who is being too aggressive and who cancels Parlor, Gina Carano, conservative books on Amazon, girl sports, and today, Dr. Seuss. My favorite comment, one of his fellow council colleagues said, so far he's just been a sourpuss. He hasn't contributed a heck of a lot. I don't even know him. He did put out an apology, but you know how that went.
He just looks like someone. The only thing I can say positive, he had a really nice background in that picture.
Lovely fall foliage. But I just found it fascinating that he thinks we want all people to be the same, you know, everybody be bisexual. You know, some things about the world he describes sound lovely, others just aren't true. And then he made us sound all like serious. And then his colleague described him as a sourpuss.
And he said, we're miserable. They're describing him as a sourpuss, and they're saying he says we're miserable.
And sir, you can still read other places you'll go as many times as you want. The Dr. Seuss people pulled the books that have some like annoyingly stereotypical racial depictions that are just not. You can still read One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish. You will be fine.
And The Cat in the Hat. It's okay to read The Cat in the Hat comes back.
But just bless him and telling on yourself. Parlor, the things you're worried about, sir.
To quote Kathy Bates in Come Back to the Five and Dime, I'm happy, goddammit. I don't want him to think I'm miserable.
Jared said, when I hear these bigoted GOP members rambling about the future liberals want, I think about Belize's description of heaven in Angels in America and their Roy Coyne recoiling in disgust. Jared, I love that so much, and that's so accurate.
Yes. All right, are y'all ready for this?
Now, here we go.
Mystic pastor. Well, it's Pastor Stuart Allen Clark of Malden First General, of course, Baptist Church in Missouri, preached first on misogyny in his Sunday service. Artist Reagan Williams shared a video of 22 minutes of this sermon. Now, y'all, before I read this, I just want y'all to take a good look at his appearance.
Just get a good look.
Good look at his appearance. Here's what he preached.
Hold on, let me get you full screen for your monologue.
All right. Give me
All right. Now give your performance.
Bigotry. Let me just fill my soul with misogyny. I really don't think women understand how important it is for a man to have a beautiful woman on his arm. Here's what you want your man to say when he takes you to the Christmas party at the office. My friend may have married a trophy wife, but compared to mine, she doesn't even qualify. Why is it so many times after they get married, they let themselves go? Now, look, I'm not saying every woman can be the epic trophy wife of all time, like Melania Trump. I'm not saying that at all. Most women can't be trophy wives. I don't know, but all I can say is not everybody looks like that. Amen? Not everybody looks like that, but you don't need to look like a butch either. Men want their wives to look good at home and in public. God made men to be drawn to beautiful women. We are made this way. We can't help ourselves. You can call it juvenile. You can call it immature. You can call it sexist. But men are going to look. He made us to look. You want them to be looking at you. Don't let yourself go.
Oh, that's just brilliant. Now, y'all, the actual video, you can find it on Facebook. It is 22 minutes long. And that section I pulled is just from the first 3 or 4 minutes. Like, part of me almost has to respect that he just said it. You know, like, look, we're going to look. And if you don't look like I think you should look, I'm out. Like, you just said that. You just said it.
And you know what he said? He said that he doesn't do marital counseling anymore because the first thing that he would say to a woman who asked what she can do for her marriage is weight control. Now, did you see him? It reminded me a little bit of GW going after Nolita for her weight. And she said, it's like you're 6 months pregnant. Now, and not to fat shame anybody, but you can't be telling a woman to lose weight when you look like, you know, you need to get on that Men's Weight Watchers or whatever.
I mean, it was the glee, like the pride he took in his misogyny. That like, I mean, he basically said women trap a man and then get fat. And that's why they look around. And I did put up these two for you. Y'all, and he's very into the internet culture. He has the memes, he had visuals. On the left is he said, you know, look, this is your wife. If she doesn't look like she did at the wedding, he's gonna look away. Now I included your example.
I felt like that this was a better example for our crowd and for my past.
For your own personal experience.
I just love it. I love that picture so much. And now in the good news is he has taken a leave of absence from the church. He did get some pushback for this. I want a picture of his wife because it felt like to me he may have been talking to his own wife.
But also, like, can you imagine, like the comedy of it aside, this is a pastor standing in front of a church of people saying, women, that you are fat is the problem in your marriage. Like the primary problem. People come for marital counseling and his first response was weight control.
And then
not communication, not intimacy, not meeting each other's needs, not love languages. When I tell you that I could do so much Christian marriage counseling just from sitting in a pew for something like that, I could go through 84 things before I got to like your physical appearance.
And then had to throw in butch. Like it did not want a butch. A butch.
A butch. I know, I love a butch. But like there are real couples, right? Sitting in a church, taking away from this, like guidance for their lives within the, you know, where he is the religious leader of the people in their building.
What about the children? What about the little girls? I mean, you know, it's like it's just so fucked up, y'all. Yeah. That's why I don't go to church. I don't go to church anymore.
That's why. That's it.
Exactly why.
All right, we've reached the halfway point of our show. We appreciate you tuning in while we share what we think is amusing and horrifying in the news and the nonsense of the week. If you want to send us a tip, please do on Venmo to @Emerson Collins or on PayPal to beardcollinshoresproductions@gmail.com. It is in the ticker below. Thank you to Leanne for her contribution to Therapy Hour. We do love sharing this time with you all. And then this next story I want to share with you all. It's happening here in California, and I want to have a discussion about it because I appreciate the intentions behind it, but I'm not sure I agree entirely with how it's landing on the approach. A new bill has been introduced here in California by Cristina Garcia, the chair of the California Legislative Women's Caucus, and Evan Lowe, chair of the California Legislative LGBTQ Caucus, two people whose work I greatly admire. This legislation would require retailers with 500 or more employees to maintain undivided areas of its sale floor where the majority of those items being offered are displayed regardless of whether an item has been traditionally marketed for either girls or for boys. Does that make sense? Toys, childcare, clothing, ungendered sales sections. It would also prohibit gendering products for kids on sale online if they have a store in California. The bill states, keeping similar items that are traditionally marketed either for girls or for boys separated incorrectly implies that their use by one gender is inappropriate. Mm-hmm. Stores in violation will be subject to a $1,000 fine. Now, Lowe explained, let's just have a kids sections. Let's make sure that we remove the kind of stigma, the type of bullying that we still see. He was inspired by Target, which did away with gendered kids section back in 2015, and a staffer's young daughter who was forced to look in the boys section to find science-related toys. Now, for discussion, I'm curious what everybody thinks, because I want to be really clear that the intent behind this, I think, is amazing. The way that we gender correct and incorrect toys, the way we say clothes are correct or incorrect by the way they're divided, the way we teach children to perform gender is negative when it implies that one is correct or wrong, or one is better or than the other. I think the idea behind this is amazing. I don't know that legislating it as illegal, for me, is the right approach. like, I feel like culturally that's a place we want to work to, and we can work with our purchasing power. But I'm sort of government overreach for a very good reason, but the wrong way to achieve the cultural changes we want to make on what we teach kids about performing gender. Does that make sense? How does everybody else feel?
Total. I agree with you, Emerson. In the fining them $1,000, I just
well, it's interesting because like they have to have more than 500 employees, so that means they're a chain store. Like you're talking Kohl's, Target, Walmart, big. It's not your mom and pop shop. So $1,000 to those stores will be symbolic more than anything. So it may be a symbolic legislation, but I think we can go too far in attempting to legislate the mindset changes we want to create, rather than doing it through purchasing power or discussions with Target did it on their own. I just think that, I think we can overreach with government by trying to legislate changes in mentality that we would do better to achieve by continuing to force the conversations.
Right.
What is everybody else? Rob, yes, I agree. Ken, seems a bit much with the fines and all. Tony, let the market decide. And I wanted to ask you all, because I'm usually very on the side of, look, by hook or by crook, we will drag bigots into the modern era. We will change people's minds through needling and cajoling and lawsuits when necessary. I just felt like this seemed like a law that would cause more irritation for the wrong reason than achieve a desired goal through the intent. Rob said it's not government to make laws that way. Paul, why can't we just let the kids be kids and pick out the toys they like? And and that is what they want with this legislation. Just call it the toy section. Whether the princess castles are next to the binoculars or next to the Tonka trucks or just let it be toys. And I think that is a great thing. I don't know that making it illegal to not do that achieves what they really want it to.
It made me think of our friend Matt Hayes' little short film Cognitive, where the kid is inviting another kid to his party at the skate, and he said he's going to have a pink birthday cake, and it was like, suddenly pink is for girls. It's like we were brought up. I mean, it starts from birth, blue and pink and all of these rules. So
yeah. And Al just commented directly to that. We may be better served to package toys a bit more neutral. For example, an easy bake oven for chefs, not just girls. Yes.
Got mine.
I feel like that is a great approach, and continuing to push and have those conversations. But yeah, so just an interesting thing. And I thought a lot about it because both of those caucuses here in California do incredible work for women and LGBTQ people. So I just think it's always worth continuing to chat about. Oh wait, this is important. Kelly asked, where can I watch Cognitive? Is there somewhere?
Kelly, I believe it's on Vimeo, but I will for sure find out. And maybe I'll Google the next when Emerson has the next story, and I'll let you know. We'll put it in the chat room. All right, I kind of like, one of the things y'all don't know about me, but I was a journalism major, and so I always wrote the headlines at Baylor University for the Lariat, and this, I thought, of a good headline. 2 steps forward, 1 step back is the name of this story. At Brigham Young University in Utah, there's a giant Y on a mountain by the campus. And last week, an unauthorized LGBTQ group, Color the Campus, took it over and lit it with 76 rainbow color flashlights for the school's unofficial Rainbow Day. How gorgeous is that? They had it for the first time last year after BYU edited their honor code, appearing to condone same-sex physical intimacy on campus, like hugging and kissing and holding hands. This is where I say there were 2 steps forward there for a second. The university did clarify, though, that same-sex affection was still against the rules. So they took out one thing, and then but they continued to have another part of this in their honor code, another part that was absolutely homophobic. So as the 40 students walked from the Y parked cars, they blared, of course, Lady Gaga's Born This Way and Katy Perry's I Kissed a Girl. Bradley Talbot, who organized the event, said, "We're here and we're part of this institution. We should have a place at the Y." Of the university's actions last year, he said that day felt like a betrayal for a lot of LGBTQ students. It was traumatic. So this was a day for us to reclaim that and to try to turn something into something positive. BYU tweeted, "BYU did not authorize the lighting of the Y tonight."
Yep. I just loved it. Love seeing that. I've been following along the current Baylor students that are working for LGBTQ stuff. So I just love these stories about college students making change.
I want to know more about the Baylor students. I'm going to get involved there because I'm going to start donating to them. It's because I don't donate to Baylor anymore.
Well, yes. All right. Up next, Sydney Mardi Gras. Gay and lesbian Mardi Gras was this weekend. 36,000 people in attendance because they've managed their pandemic so much better than we have. The parade didn't go through the city, but they had the event on a cricket ground, just no after parties. Well, afterwards, shown here, ABC News reporter Mark Reddy tweeted, "Walking home with a group of gay guys and a car drives by and the men inside throw cartons of eggs at us. The male occupants laughing as they sped off. Wow. If you think some eggs are going to rattle us, think again. You did not succeed. I truly hope you find happiness. That is all." He is a reporter, and he wrote a story about it saying, as a reporter, I don't want to be the story. But he shared his experience and saying, and asked, and other people responded that they saw similar things happen in that area. He said, "It's also sad that homophobia remains in Australia. When the first Mardi Gras was held in 1978, many of the brave marchers on Oxford Street were beaten up in the cells of Darlinghurst Police Station." He did formally report the incident, said police treated him with respect and empathy, and they hope CCTV will help catch the attackers. But that was so sucks to hear that was their experience, but thrilled for the community there that because they've handled the pandemic correctly, they were able to gather. We have this photo of you back in the day.
Yeah. Yes. One of my favorite nights ever was right there. I've done ecstasy twice in my life, and I did a half a tab. I think that guy on the left, the guy on the right was a doctor, and he had some pure Molly. And I had never done it. I thought, well, I'm not in the same country with my kids, so why not? So I did it, and then I danced, shirtless with hot guys, and listened to Tina Arena and Kylie Minogue performed that night. It was a crazy, great night. And then I went off to direct a movie in the Gold Coast. So I love Mardi Gras, and I found so many straight people attended. It was just a beautiful night for me. The celebration. So here's another story from Mardi Gras. Virgin Australia flew its first Pride flight from Brisbane to Sydney before Mardi Gras started, with 120 passengers and mid-air drag performances, drinks, music, and full Pride atmosphere. This is a couple, Chris Lai, who got on the intercom shortly before the descent into Sydney with a question to his partner, Cedric Theory. And in this video, you will see him reading notes from his phone on the intercom as he says, "Cedric, I am the person I am today because of you. On my 110th Virgin Australia flight and my first Pride flight, I have one question for you." And the crowd erupted into cheers as the answer was yes. Chris explained that he always wanted to propose this way because they both love flying, and sky is home for me. This is a perfect flight for me to do the proposal, and it made all my dreams come true.
I loved it so much, and I desperately, I love specifically queer, specifically gay stuff. I want to take a Pride flight. That's so thrilling. Like drag queens performing in the aisles with cocktails. That is, you can pander. Pride pandering for me works every time. Even when I know it's like corporate nonsense, But those, growing up in the days where that first kiss on Dawson's Creek, remembering when we weren't seen anywhere, it makes my little gay heart skip down the sidewalk in joy. All right. Also, back to Russia. Well, y'all appreciate both of these. Mardi Gras, I'll do the news story, Dell does the fun story. Russia, I'm going to do the news story, and Dell will do the story. Russia's population is expected to decline by 30 million people over the next decade. And last week, they had a big old conference about what to do about the birth rate. The Strong Family Project discussed many proposals, including one that would ban polyamorous and bisexual propaganda to defend Christian values. A Russian MP told the News they're trying to corrupt our youth. We've talked many times about the gay propaganda ban that bars depictions of LGBTQ people. It's been used to shut down Pride, target activists, and even monitor students on social media. Well, they want these laws to be even tighter and proposed a sweeping ban on any information that offends family values, motherhood, large families, and childhood, banning propaganda related to trans people, tougher penalties for the promotion of non-traditional relations, and a ban on LGBTQ symbols. They have not thought this through, because what they want is to force same-sex attracted people into unhappy marriages to make babies, to raise them in unloving and terribly miserable households, just so their population doesn't decline. Like, they didn't think that shit through.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally, it's like pretending like we don't exist. Like, the number of people whose experiences were doing what their culture said and marrying someone and having a difficult marriage and how that impacts children instead of being happy. Like, they really haven't thought through, like, you are not going to save 30 million people by forcing all the pan, poly, bi, trans, and gay people to be in unhappy marriages to make baby factories for you.
It's ridiculous. It is. And then there's more Russian news. A Russian priest, it's Alexander Usofto, was a Orthodox Russian priest until he quit a year and fled to Holland. At the time, he wrote an opinion piece for Snob explaining that he had lost his faith. Now he's revealed he's gay and was forced to leave the church, to leave the country. His new piece shares the LGBTQ plus activists of the EU helped him escape. He writes, "In recent years, I have become the object of persecution by the Metropolitan and his entourage who knew about my orientation." He also said that he had come out to Metropolitan Mercurius, the head of the God, I lost my place.
The head of the diocese, which he soon came to regret.
Yeah, okay, there we go. I found it again. I'm sorry. He continued dropping a bombshell by saying that he said gays in Russian Orthodox Church are in a dual situation. On one hand, everybody knows about the existence of the gay lobby and the opportunity to make an easy career after going through the bishop's bed. Woo. On the other hand, the most active parishioners of the church are ardent homophobes. Then he told on someone, he said he knew that there was this other priest that was basically sleeping with men and outed him. He didn't like the fact that I was talking with the guys he had an eye on, was jealous. This guy's just like, he's going after him. He began to spread false rumors about me, scared the Metropolitan, and even write denunciations. I think he was intimidated by the possibility of his own exposure. He was accused of propaganda of opposition ideas and LGBTQ plus campaigning among young people. So that's like a movie of the week for life.
I mean, like, the idea that a petty gay priest was jealous of this priest, here he is again to remind you, and who he was sleeping with, started telling other people, well, that one's gay, basically to get him out of the way so he could sleep with the people that he wanted to, is my understanding. Petty homosexuals at every level will ruin your life. But he had to leave the country.
But what about that? If they want an easier career, they have to go through the bishop's bed. I mean, that is crazy shit.
What if the casting cassock is more like it? not a couch. Get under that cassock and get your, like, that it's an easy path to just sleep with the bishop, to like climb your way to the top. I mean, this is so much. I would watch the crap out of this movie.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's a good one.
Where'd you go?
I just realized I could actually put something in the
in the chat. Yes, you just typed right over there.
Never been able to do that, but look at me now.
But I just petty priest
came up as your name. So anyway, it's all right.
Well, yeah, because you're in my account. That's how.
I see. Well, anyway, I gave them the cognitive. It's on Deku.
But I want somebody to write this, petty priests. I watch it with the Russian subtitles, just the scandals. I want to hear about sleeping with the bishop to get your promotion. I want to see this one sleeping his way around the, I don't know, the priest town, and then this other one just watching from the corner being bitchy and bitter, and then being like, he's a homo. And then he's got to flee all the way to Holland.
And then he tried. It's interesting that he tried to do the right thing by coming out to the head of the diocese, and then he just he regretted it immediately, because it was like, it sounded like to me like there's this unwritten kind of thing going on, and then he wanted to be forthright, and it all just went to hell in a handbasket.
That hell handbasket's awfully heavy these days. Lots of people and things in it.
Isn't that a drag queen? Hell in a handbasket.
Absolutely it is. There, a number even, but I have one. There's one hell in a handbasket I know and love well. All right, this next story comes to us out of Atlanta. I'll put this, not that one, this one, up for you to see. Alex Santiago is the executive director of the I Am Human Foundation in Atlanta. They focus on creating a safe space for people experiencing homelessness, living with HIV, and trans youth. Well, he went out to buy a billboard in the city to support the inclusion and open support of trans people in the Black Lives Matter discussion. He was surprised when the billboard company was so excited to put up the signs, they offered him 3 extra billboards. He got 4 for the price of 1. This is one of them. 3 read Black Trans Lives Matter, including the hashtag Stop the Violence and the website for the I Am Human Foundation. I put it down below if you want to look at their work, donate, support their work, iamhumanfoundation.org. And he said the murder of Bianca Muffin Banks in Atlanta happened a week before the first billboard went up. And Alex said he didn't hear about it till he read it on the HRC website. So he's aiming for closer to Atlanta City Hall for his next billboard. He said, because I just feel like nobody cares. Said the billboards have gotten a great response, so much so that the billboard company is leaving them up. The time that he paid for is already up, but they haven't had anyone else bought the billboard, so they're just going to leave them up till somebody else buys it. So you want to support the work they're doing, iamhumanfoundation.org, and an important conversation he was having in the work they're doing about being sure that specifically trans people were being included in the Black Lives Matter discussion and vocally supported. Obviously, we've seen that a lot in our community, but I think he was talking about the wider discussion.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, we can't do the Dell and Emerson show without a Dolly Parton story. And so Dolly refused a statue, got her vaccine, and now Costa Mesa, right here in our state, the gay club Strut has put up a 50-foot by 20-foot mural showing her as a guardian angel of sorts. Owner Luke Nero hired artist David Gilmore to paint it. He said not only is she an icon in the queer community and beyond, but she is truly a model of inclusivity. It's my hope that our mural will add positivity and a sense of togetherness while recognizing the contribution of frontline workers. I
mean, it's amazing. Like, that is a glorious, like, Instagram stop. Like, I will drive to Strut one night when the world is reopened just to get my photo with Dolly Parton looking over me like my guardian angel.
And I love it's sort of retro early years Dolly too, with the big wig, which is my favorite Dolly. Where I love that Dolly never tried to, never tried to say, oh, this is my hair. No, this is just a wig. And it's so gorgeous.
I just thought that was a lovely.
It really was, and I went to the Queerty, who we get a lot of our stories there, to read the entire story and to see the mural. And these people! It's like, yeah, guys, when we go on let's just start with something positive and say, well, the artist wasn't very good. I mean, there was so much negativity, and I'm just like so fucking tired of that. So what a great, beautiful thing that Luke Nero and the artist David Gilmour, and it's lovely. It looks like her. So,
well, and somebody reminded out, Charlene had Dolly as a guardian angel on Designing Women. I remember that was such a great appearance.
She's played an angel more than once.
She's in that. There's that whole movie that we almost watched a while back. She's a guardian. She falls from heaven into this man's yard and becomes his guardian angel.
Yeah.
But I appreciate what you just said. It's something, I shared earlier, I'm a little bitey, and I could feel it a little bit today in my own mental health journey, and where my sensitivity is. I no longer am interested in people's negative opinions about stuff. I told y'all I stopped a while ago sharing publicly my negative thoughts about stuff. If I watch something I don't like, I'm just not talking about it, rather than like going on and on about why it didn't work for me, because also it's just my opinion. Who cares? And I'm not interested in anybody else's. Now, when somebody's like, well, I hate, I'm like, I don't care. The intensity with which people express negative emotions about stuff that does not matter to their personal life.
Being an asshole. Just stop fucking being an asshole behind your computer. And and I loved all this. I love that Dolly is just so relevant, and she just keeps giving and doing and using her name and her brand to bring goodness to the world. I mean, I think I've said this before, but I've been so honored to meet a lot of celebrities in my career, and she is truly, that had to be the most nerve-wracking meeting of my life, was when I got that call from my agent to go meet Dolly Parton to talk about a series. And she's exactly who she is. I mean, there's no difference. She's just who she is. What you see is Dolly Parton.
Yep. And I'm trying to live like that now. Like, I'm trying to grow out of like the snarky nonsense. And because we only have so much time in a day, and you can either put positive energy into something you love or negative energy into something you don't. But it's like, and that is a choice. Every time it is a choice to support that show, that artist, that musician, that drag queen, that thing, that project, that company, that organization. You can do so many positive things, but the energy you spend talking about that thing you don't like, that show you hated, that movie that didn't work for you, it's a choice all day, every day. And I don't have it in me anymore to feed that side of it. I just don't.
Well, I used to say in my show, I said, if you're offended, that's your choice. And sometimes we make the right choice to be offended. I think that's valid, but we do have choices, and it's just not why it says so much about you when you just pick.
Yeah, and also like after the year we've had, issues that really matter, equality, people's issues, income, people's healthcare, how that affects politics, that's all real and worth really investing significant emotional energy in achievement and change. Whether or not you do or don't like a movie or some episode of television or somebody's song, it's worth like, ew, that wasn't for me, but it is not worth, I hate that person or that thing. It's just not.
Yeah, and people mind, they're, people see a lot of things that are posted about them.
Yeah. You like, save it for your group texts.
What's that?
I said save it for your group texts.
There you go.
We do appreciate you all tuning in and sharing with us. Thank you again to Leanne and to John and Bob Bielenberg for your tip contributions. If you waited till the end of the show and want to give in the offering plate, you can tip us on Venmo at Emerson Collins or on PayPal to beardcollinshoresproductions@gmail.com. We appreciate y'all tuning in.
We do, always. And
it's Tuesday.
And I have to, thank you. And I have to always say this, no matter how you're feeling or we're feeling, and when we're down, when we come in here, I always feel better after I leave. So thank you.
I do too. I took my shower, I shaved my face, I tuned in. We do appreciate you all. And a great reminder, as Leanne has posted and several other people commented, our dear friend Debbie Holiday is going to sing at 6 p.m. Pacific on her Facebook page, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's a pay what you can. Y'all go tune into Debbie. That will lift your spirits and your soul far more than this.
Oh, she's so fantastic.
And we'll be back on Friday with more.
We love you guys. Y'all have a good rest of your week. We'll see you soon.
I'm tapping in that tip thing because, oh, there it goes. Bye, y'all. We'll see you on Friday.